Welcome back, everyone. Your loyal Captain Gear 100 has returned yet again for another video for you guys today. And today we're starting with a new series, and we're going to be doing something very different today. So this series is going to be completely different. Again, my best friend Slaughter Lake, my brother, made this perfect, absolute picture, drawing for you guys. I said picture. The drawing is so good, might as well be classified as a picture. But yeah, made this very amazing drawing for me right here for this specific series that I'm doing. Now, I don't really know what to freaking call this one. I guess you could say this is my first vigilante or anti-hero Deku, whatever the heck you want to call it. I don't know. If you can come up with a good name in the comment section down below, then come up with a title name for me, because I honestly don't know what to call this one. I will literally call it anything you guys can suggest. I will just put it as the title. So for now, I'm just gonna call this Vigilante Deku Part 1. That's the best I can come up with. But if you can come up with a better title, I'm all ears. I pray I can put the intro into this one, because this is actually a very good one. But I'm gonna say the thing anyway. But in case I can't, you guys already know why. Y'all ready? I'm ready. Cue the intro. Anyway, all right. So how does this exactly work? Well, if you look at the drawing of this Deku specifically, there's one specific thing about him. Obviously, the horn on his head. Now, I know where you guys might be going. Oh, is this a rewind Deku? Well, yes and no, because you already know how Gear 100 has to take it. We're going to take it all the way up to 100. That's a good slogan. That's a good slogan. We take it all the way up to 100. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. So, my Deku specifically does have a horn on his head, yes. And you guys might be thinking it has something to do with rewind. It kind of, but at the same time, it's on a much larger and much more powerful scale, because how things work differently. Well, okay. Let me explain something real quick, so for this to be understandable. So let's dive into the origin story and everything. So obviously Deku is born and everything, but this is a thing. Deku is in the very small 1% of the entire world. Okay, because 80% of the world has a quirk, 20% is quirkless, but hey, that's a thing, so whatever. But Deku is that very tiny 1% percentage of the world that is born with their quirks, that has the quirk since the day they were born, and that is Deku. Unlike Eri, who manifested her quirk at the age of 4, Deku off-rip was born with his power. He has it immediately. And the way it works is quite differently as well. So obviously Izuku Midoriya. Oh yeah, in this one Deku has white hair, and basically he looks like Eri. White hair, red eyes, but he has green tips at the end of it. So he looks like a very, very tinted. So he looks like a mint. Again, the minty look. Christmas tree, basically, because red, green, white, Christmas tree. Hey, it matches. Ornaments, whatever. So yeah, Deku's horn also is like Aries, like a white horn and everything. It's pretty. It's fine. It's all right. So yeah, Deku being born with his power of origin is exactly how this stuff is gonna go. Because like I said, Vigilante Deku, I gotta come up with stuff quite quickly for this to be able to work. So I know what you guys might be thinking. Does Deku get raised by Inko and Hasashi and everything? Yes, but at least for a little bit, because I'm giving this Deku the same backstory as Eri, kind of, but we're taking a different approach with it. You guys will see. So anyway, this would happen at the age of, I don't really know how to take this, but it would be a few months after Deku was born, almost on his first ever birthday. So what would happen would actually be quite sad, because, like I said, with Eri's backstory, Deku's power actually awakens because he was a baby and he was crying. So with Deku kind of being in distress, his quirk kind of activated. And just like what Eri accidentally did to her father, Deku accidentally did to Hasashi, and completely rewinded him out of just erased him from existence by rewinding him back so far. This was Deku as an infant, by the way, as a straight newborn baby. Well, not newborn, but an infant. He was a few months before his first birthday. And Inko, being afraid of Deku, decided he was a cursed child and decided to give him up for adoption. So in this one, Deku never really got to know Bakugo or anybody in this one. So yeah, sad backstory and how it happened. But something bad had happened to Deku after using his quirk like that. If you guys can see the little mini scar that Deku has over his right eye. Oh yeah, guys, if you pay attention, it's quite contrast to what how it Deku and Aries' horn are kind of in the same places. Well, I think so because in the manga, the horn like placement actually switches because sometimes it'll be on the right side and it'll be on the left side. But if you look, it is I think on the left. I don't know. I'm not sure, but hopefully it is on a different side than Aries. But hey, whatever. Since a newborn Deku couldn't handle all of that power, because obviously still a baby, his body's too young and is too tiny to hold all the power. It actually created a very bad repercussion for him, which led to a scar, aka a crack, forming on his right eye, over his right eye. And how the crack works. Basically, if you guys have seen the anime Dr. Stone, where they still have cracks over their faces and whatnot, basically that's what it looks. That's what it looks like. So yeah, that's how it looks for Deku. A scar, but in actuality, it's a crack over his right eye. It doesn't cause him any pain or whatnot. It was just a very big consequence of using his power to that high of a scale at literally being a newborn. So it's a bad consequence. But hey, it's a thing that makes him very unique. By the way, also it pretty much looks cool. But that scar will have its own relevance later in the future. I just wanted to point that out. So anyway, like I said, believing he was a cursed child, Inko had given Izuku up for adoption, and pretty much, since he didn't want, since she didn't want her family name being associated with Izuku, she basically took away his family name. So his name is just Izuku. No Izuku Midoriya. Deku doesn't know his family name. It's just Izuku. That's his name. So yes, Deku had to grow up in an orphanage, basically. But Deku was always a strange kid compared to the other kids. While growing up, at the age of I'm gonna say screw it. Deku started to show signs of very high intelligence at a very young age. I mean, at the age of 2, yes, and I mean 2 to 3. I'll say this: 2 to 3. He was already solving like complex math problems of like a college student and whatnot. Deku is actually really, really smart. He's actually very gifted. And not only that, he's able to understand a lot more complex things than others naturally would. He even learned sign language at the age of 4. Others had always called him a freak because of his horn and whatnot, but Deku never really cared. Deku wanted to dive deep into what his quirk actually was, because he always found it so fascinating when the caretakers of the orphanage, the faculty, told them about his backstory. Like, they told that Deku wanted the truth from them, and then they told him. Deku didn't really care that and that's the thing. Okay, real quick. In the beginning, they lied to Deku, saying that his mom couldn't afford to take care of him, so that's why she sadly had to give him up for adoption. But I'm gonna just say, one night when Deku was still up reading, one of the faculty members came in drunk last night, and Deku took this opportunity to ask what really happened that day. And the drunk faculty member, not cursing at Deku or anything, just straight up told him the truth, and told Deku that he, using his quirk, he rewound his father back into non-existence, pretty much erasing him completely. And because of that, his mom thought he was a cursed child and gave him up for adoption. Now, you would expect something like that to hit Deku hard like a brick, like that would give him trauma. But in actuality, this fascinated Deku. He did all of that with his power instantly. Like, yeah, sure, he feels bad for accidentally killing his dad and whatnot. I mean, that was an accident. But as for his mom giving him up, he didn't care about that. I mean, it was all a freaking accident, yes. And he understood her actual fear of him. He doesn't harbor any ill will or any ill intent toward his mom. He holds no animosity towards her for it. Just circumstance led to this moment, and oh well, too bad, so sad. Can't really do anything about it now. So with Deku, he started to figure out what his quirk actually was. So at the age of 4, he finally went to go get his quirk registered. I know some people would say, why didn't he go do it earlier? They wanted to wait until he was at the age of 4 to properly register his quirk. That way it would fully manifest in his body in case it was too early to pick up. Because even though he had it as a newborn, I mean, some newborns you can't actually register because, and they can't go through the test perfectly because they're still way too young for that. So at this point, 4 years old, they registered Deku's quirk, and the doctor actually found something quite amazing. And what did they find? Let me show you what Deku's quirk is. Bam, we are back. Space-time manipulation. So, like I said, Aries' quirk, but on a much, much larger scale. Deku can manipulate space-time. Come on, hurry up. Up, there we go. Manipulate the space-time continuum. I mean, obviously. Yeah, subpower of reality warping, advanced combination of spatial and time manipulation. Yeah, well, okay, whatever. Move. The user can manipulate, bend, distort, control, and fold the space-time continuum, the fabrics of reality and existence itself, in which all and everything exists. This ability also manipulates and controls all aspects of space-time, such as space-time energy. Oh, come on, stupid ad. I hate ads. Space-time fabric, and many more, including all types of space-time. And also, some users may be able to manipulate and control the entirety of the concept of space-time. Space-time serves as the boundary of existence, separating different realities and timelines and keeping them functioning properly. Distorting this boundary can cause devastating effects, causing timelines to become fluid and even destroying the world. Based on space and time, whatever. Although this is okay. Universal difference. Although this ability is considered to simply combine the manipulation of space, the dimensions of height, depth, and width in which all things exist and move, and time, the indefinite continued progress of existence and events in the past, present, and future regarded as a whole, together it is fundamentally more powerful and complex, as space-time is a very existence itself, separating different realities and timelines. Yeah. To control space-time is to alter the fabrics of reality and very existence itself, allowing one to erase existences and not just the flow of time and the fabric of space, but also reorganize, alter, and erase historical events, timelines, time streams, and locations, reality and spatial locations. To move through space-time is more simply teleportation and time travel. It allows one to connect to alternate realities and metaphysical realms. Nice. Okay, so this is what Deku could potentially do if he studied his quirk enough. But like I said, since I'm making Deku practically a genius in this one, hey, it's pretty much worth it. Anyway, yeah. Techniques. Dang, variations, yeah. Associations, okay, well, it's pretty much its own thing. What is this? Okay, techniques, we can give him this, but variations, I don't know about that. Space-time magic. I mean, okay, we can give him some variations, like, sure. But as for associations, like, nah. Because they may be associated with it, but it's not that itself. So this is Deku's quirk, space-time manipulation, or just space-time. So the doctor, seeing upon registering Deku's quirk, registers it as a very powerful one type of quirk, and it is really, really amazing on its own right. So the doctor said Deku could be like an amazing hero if he wanted to be with this, but Deku never really had the inspiration to become a hero. It's not really like his thing. Deku wants to be someone of like a higher power than that, someone of a more political stance, maybe. Like, why not work for the Hero Association? Yeah, that would be better. Changing the system from the inside instead of from the outside and working for it. I mean, Deku's smart enough to do some crap like that, so why not? So from an early age, at the beginning of the age of 4, Deku started to practice with his quirk. Others would think he's stupid for doing this, but hey, why the heck not? And just like Aries' quirk, it affects reality on its own, like by its thing. But it is kind of hard to do at first because obviously no sense of direction. Deku just has to try random methods until it works. And he would try it on an app, and Deku would continue this late at night. Like, for example, this is when Deku was at the age of 4, still practicing with his quirk. He had gathered 3 apples that he kept from lunch from the last 3 days. Wait, no. 3 apples from trading with his lunch with other people, basically giving up the good sweet snacks just so he could get the apple. And you know how kids are. Some of them don't like to eat healthy fruit or whatnot. So Deku gladly got the 3 apples for that day. So what he wanted to do was change it into, like, these apples here to a different level of ripeness. Like they were, all three of them were red apples. So what he was going to do was change one into a green apple and change one into a yellow apple. Different stages of ripeness to where it would actually work. The green apples are obviously sour ones. The red apples are perfect, and the yellow apples almost there, but I'm not sure because they're a lot softer than the green. They're a lot softer than the natural apples. So I think this just needs more time. Oh well. So what happens is pretty simple. Deku focuses his quirk, and he doesn't exactly know how to use it. So if he wants to focus on a target one at a time, Deku views it as basically a flash, a spotlight. A movie theater spotlight where they focus on one target instead of the others. So this is how it works. As Deku's focusing, his other eye that has the scar on it starts lighting up, and a light starts flowing through the scar. And that's when Deku's horn actively starts growing and starts glowing. Well, and growing. It grows and it glows as well. A strange rainbow light comes off of Deku. And that's when he uses his power. Waves of energy that almost look like fire comes out of his hand and focus on the three apples. But Deku doesn't want that. He wants to focus on one of them. So he dims his power down, his focus onto one specific target. And instead, he focuses on like the apple on the left instead of the right. The main apple, the red one in the middle, is supposed to stay red, and the one on the left is where he's going to turn it into a green apple. The one on the right will be yellow. So Deku on one side is trying to focus on the left apple to turn it into a green one, and Deku doesn't know how to do it because he doesn't know at what point in time he's supposed to do. So Deku, at what point in time is the apple supposed to turn green? So what's the feeling that he's supposed to get? But Deku just trial and error. So Deku just thinks for a moment. Okay, it's under the spotlight. What do I do now? And then Deku thinks, what about the rewind button on a TV remote that they play on old movies? Deku thinks of it like that, of just going backward. Yeah, he can do that. So Deku imagines a rewind button in his head, and basically he just pressed it. And as Deku would open his eyes and focus, basically visualizing the apple as the TV, and it's rewinding in real time. And as it's working, Deku can see the apple is starting to lose its red hue, and actually going back into, I think, the yellow state, then the green state. I'm not sure, guys. I really don't know. You know what? Yeah, the apple goes back into a yellow state, but Deku wants to rewind further. So now he says go back. So Deku is thinking, not done yet. Go back more. But it's slowly, and then as Deku's trying it, it does go back into its green state, a sour apple. Deku doesn't know if it really does work like that, but he then picks up the apple as it's perfectly green. And now, Deku takes a bite into the apple, and it's a perfect sour apple, as he realizes he did it. So now Deku actually tries again, this time on the right apple, where he's supposed to turn it yellow. And now, this is perfect. Deku knows the feeling of going back, pretty much thinking of it as rewinding a TV. But then Deku thinks about it for a second. Wait, if he can pull things backward, can he push them forward like a fast forward button? As he looks at the now yellow apple in front of him, as he thinks of it for a minute. Now, he raises his hand, and he thinks of a fast forward button, like moving faster, going ahead. And the apple does start advancing. It goes back into a perfectly red apple, but no, Deku wants to take it further. He's not done yet. He pushes it even further and says says in his head, go forward. And instead, the apple goes from a red one and it starts to gain a brown tint. The apple starts to basically rot away. Holy. And Deku realizing he is aging the apple. Until the apple is completely rotten and dead. But then Deku wants to think for a moment. If the apple is dead, could he potentially... Wait a minute. Could he rewind his power? Because Deku advanced the apple toward death, where it's already practically rotten, aka dead, a dead fruit. So he wants to make it sure it can come right back. So with that being said, Deku used his rewind on the apple again, on the dead apple, and completely unknown, crazy to Deku, to his own shock, the apple goes back to being red, like a lot easier than Deku rewinded it last time. Almost as if his power is advancing and adapting to his wants and needs. Holy, that felt. Deku looked at his hands and said to himself, "That felt more natural than before." As Deku rewound the apple back to a perfectly red, juicy apple. Pause on that one because I said juicy. Pause on that. Anyway, as Deku realized what the heck he did, but then he looks at the green apple that he's already eaten. Could I? Deku uses his rewind power on the green apple. And you guys would never believe this, but the green apple being rewound completely, like, somehow the pieces of the apple grow right back. It's like regenerating. And I don't mean the pieces like come out of Deku's stomach and they rewind that way. No, it's like the apple itself grows, like the pieces that it lost completely brand new. And Deku realized he just created the apple basically had to create new parts of itself into existence for Deku to be able to eat it again. But then Deku used his fast forward, and now he brought it back to a perfectly red apple. So now Deku's back to 3 perfectly red apples before. Deku realized his power can go a lot farther than he wanted to. He is truly, truly amazing. But this is only the beginning of what he's capable of. Deku needs to focus more on his rewind and fast forward. Wait, could that potentially mean he could pause if he wanted to? Further experimentation will be needed, as Deku writes in his notebook. Yeah, he has notes, but this time there are notes on himself and other things around him. So, hey, he'll figure this out later. But as of right now, focus on rewind and fast forward. Get those 2 powers down the line first. Now we cut to the age that Deku is basically 5 years old. He's watching TV, like he's watching a different anime. Well, his version of an anime. He's watching Jujutsu Kaisen. There's a reason that I'm doing this. And basically, he's watching like Gojo fight off the different curses, like Hanami, Jogo, Mahito, and Choso. And as he's seeing his infinity barrier, Deku thinks, like, could he basically do that? Because him and Gojo essentially have the same power. Him, well, just a lot more different. Gojo's infinitely slowing down time to create a barrier almost to stop it. And then his red, blue, and then his hollow purple. Pretty much like attracting force, repelling force, and then neutralizing it. Wait a minute. This could actually work. Now Deku having like a much better idea of what to do here. So honestly, he's gonna have to train with this. So he asked his fellow foster friends to basically help train with this idea. And obviously they would do this sometime. As Deku wanted to create like the basically infinite space barrier. And crazy enough, Deku was actually able to figure it out because pretty much Gojo explains his own power in such detail that it's really goddamn easy for Deku to get the concept of. He's a smart kid. Also, Deku's been studying the space-time continuum anyway. Like, he's got books for that. Because remember, they still need continuing education in the foster home. So I don't see why they wouldn't. And Deku being as smart as he is at already college level, beyond college level, like PhD professor level, at 5 years old, already from a young age. I mean, come on now. It was way too good for that. So with that being said, we'll say in a few months, Deku pretty much got the grand idea of infinity down. But not only that, Deku's late at night practices are much deeper, because Deku wanted to see if he could finally pull off the move pause. And how this would work would be simple. Deku would have to practice with something soft, so he doesn't actively do something stupid. So Deku basically, on one of these times, Deku would pull a marshmallow out of his pocket. Yes, marshmallow, because foster home would actually do some activities once in a while, and they went camping once, and obviously that included a marshmallow. And with Deku having his rewind abilities, he could always keep the marshmallow fresh, so it wouldn't go stale. So that would be perfectly fine. So Deku pulling a marshmallow out of his pocket, he would practice with this. So what would he do? Deku would pretty much pull up the idea of a remote in his head again, and basically think of it as, well, give me 1 second. I got it. Deku would basically think of it as pausing, like freezing it in time. So Deku would throw the marshmallow up in the air and pretty much focus his power on it, basically pausing. And oh boy, this would have very big consequences as to what Deku was doing, because okay, this is the one of his times where his power actually did go out of sorry about that. These are one of the times where his power actually did go out of control, because he didn't know it to the extent of power he needed to use for it. So, for my JoJo fans out there, Deku basically pulled a Zoroardo, and he froze time. He basically froze time and space for everything, not just himself. Like, well, not just for the marshmallow. And as Deku looks in the air, he sees that that the marshmallow is stopped, and he's celebrating, but the marshmallow isn't coming back down. But then Deku realizes, he listens, and he's not hearing any more of the snoring he would usually hear, and because it's quiet, too quiet, dead quiet almost. As Deku would pretty much wait, and he would hear no snoring. Then he would go out of the the hidden room, the room he was in, and basically see all the kids still sleeping, but he doesn't hear the snoring. He goes to some of the kids that he knows snores for a fact, and they're not snoring. What's going on? Then Deku would look outside the window, and he would see the cars that would sometimes pass by aren't passing by. They're just stuck in the middle of the road. What is happening? And then it slowly dawns on Deku what he did. He didn't just freeze time, pause the marshmallow in midair. He froze time and space quite literally, in a continuum. Deku realizes he just froze everything, and he doesn't know how he did it. But wait a minute, his horn is still glowing and it's still shining. His quirk is active right now. But this pretty much puts it all into perspective for Deku. I can stop time? Deku can stop time. A child, a 5-year-old, can stop time. This is a way new development for Deku as well. This is just insane. So with all that being said, we're not gonna end it here. We're gonna keep it. We're still gonna keep it going. Deku pretty much goes back to the room, and he basically turns his quirk off as everything now unfreezes, and it would slowly come back to normal as Deku would hear the snoring again, and the marshmallow would come back down as Deku would catch it. This is a way new development than he thought. A lot more studying needs to be done. A lot more studying. So now we would enter a time skip to the age of where Deku is now 8 years old. Same as Eri. But, it's still a while. It's still going to be a while. Now, Deku is 8 years old. He's been in the orphanage for a few years now. And Deku feels as if he's pretty much learned everything he needs to here. Deku's obviously had the idea of running away for some time, because as he gets older, his bullying of the other foster kids aren't really getting any better. And the faculty will do the bare minimum to actually stop it, because they all believe he's a cursed child. And after the kids hearing about what Deku did, they make fun of him, saying, "Oh, you're gonna rewind me too?" And after realizing he can actually do stuff or whatever, they poke fun at Deku. And Deku hasn't been adopted at this point. Pretty much the older you get, the less chances you are at getting adopted. Deku already realized that. He doesn't really care about none of that stuff. So Deku decided he's pretty much learned everything he can from here. Now he needs to learn pretty much life lessons. He's already crazy good at book smart, but he's not street smart at all. So around this time, Deku would begin to start sneaking out of the orphanage sometimes. And it's not like it was hard by any means. The faculty barely gave a shit at all. I mean, they aren't their kids, so they don't really have to care that much. So Deku would sometimes be able. Oh yeah. Also, in Japan, sometimes you would just let your kids go out and just play, and then you could just trust them to come back. Or if they don't, then that's on them. But hey, who cares now? So it would be at this point in time where Deku would be out and about. He's like on a nearby playground. He would see a few kids playing in a playground, and this would be Deku's first like sight of Bakugo, of a blonde-haired kid with red eyes and using explosions. Quite an interesting quirk if he may think so, but he's not here for that. So he just walks past. Deku is straight up thinking about other things because it's been a long time and Deku pretty much knows his power. He's mastered like the infinity. Red and blue aren't really that much of a problem. And Deku's now on the cusp of like opening like space portals, like portals with between dimensions and all that. Yes, he can do that. He can open portals to like different points that he's to places that he's already visited before. He doesn't remember where his home is. Even if he did, he wouldn't want to go back to that place anyway. He doesn't really care for it anymore. But still, kind of cool for that. But hey, opening a portal to someplace different, Deku could basically open a portal and just walk right back into the orphanage again. He's done this like 3 times before, so the faculty isn't really scared of it. As long as the portal's not too big and they know it's like, what, 8-year-old size, they know it's Deku just coming through. So they don't really have to worry about that. Deku's like one of the very first few kids to come back because he knows when it's curfew time. So still, Deku wonders what is it exactly he's going to do. Because even if he left, where could he go? It's not like an 8-year-old would be exactly accepted for easy jobs. Or maybe he could. Hey, slight community service exists for a reason. So why not? So Deku looks for like very little itty bitty jobs he could do around the neighborhood, around the orphanage, and he actually finds quite a few good things, doing a few good jobs like walking dogs, like cutting grass, and just stuff around the stuff that you could just naturally do. And Deku makes a fair bit of good money every now and then. It's not hard, and the people around do actually get to know him fairly well. But hey, this only continues for 2 years because Deku wanted to be able to stock up on a few things once he left the orphanage. So, at the age of 10, Deku decided it was time. He would just go off and leave on his own. So, this would be at nighttime when everyone is already asleep. Deku's learned everything he could have learned from here. He's tired of this place. He knows at this point he's never going to be adopted, so why the heck stay here any longer? Pretty much what he does is simple. He writes a note, leaves it behind. He grabs all of his savings that he saved up from before, from like his lunchbox, and he packs up the very few things he's kept with him. And he brings a quantum mechanics, a space-time continuum book with him. And well, that's pretty much it. Deku never really had any personal belongings. So with all that said, has 2 books with him. Deku now, he now freezes time. Yeah, freezes time once again. Goes to the front door. Opens a window and walks out of it and just shuts it behind him. Deku's trained with this quirk extensively, so he has a lot of energy and stamina built in. So he knows exactly what the limits of his quirk are. And plus, if people didn't help Shigaraki on the street, I doubt anyone would ever say anything with Deku. So with that being said, Deku walked out. He walked at least 5 blocks away from the orphanage and then he unfroze time again. Now Deku's completely on his own at the age of 10. So Deku honestly has no idea where he should go because he knows that the entirety of Mizudafu will be on his ass. They'll be on his ass to basically look for him and whatnot. And Deku doesn't really have time for that here. He doesn't exactly know where to go until Deku comes up upon a bus stop. Ain't really that bad. So who cares? Next thing you know, Deku's waiting at the bus stop, and crazy enough, it's the last bus for the night. As it's going to, as Deku looked at the sign, it's going to Hosu City. Wow, that's quite a ways away. Deku checks his little itty bitty watch that he has. You know what? Nah, Deku checks his pocket watch. Yeah, he's got a pocket watch. He pretty much there was an elder that he was cleaning the house for, and it was an antique, and he decided to give it to Deku. It's an old pocket watch, but it still works. But Deku, because it's still an antique, he decided to rewind it to pristine condition. So yeah, he's pretty much got a pocket watch now that's in pristine condition, a very old antique, by the way, that can still tell time just as great as it could beforehand. And Deku sees it's like around like what 10:30 in the night, in the middle of the night. Hosu is like what, an hour and 30-minute drive away. That's fine. Deku pays for his ticket, gets on the bus, and then completely he's off to Hosu. So Deku like makes it to Hosu. We don't even really need to go over the bus stop. Oh wait, yeah, yes we do. Okay, hold on. So as Deku's sitting on the bus, someone actually sits next to him, and okay, we're gonna say, just for the sake of this, it's a mysterious man. He's anonymous. He's only relevant for this one particular scene that I'm coming up with. So don't imagine he's gonna be any more like don't think he's gonna hold any more significance than this part, because he won't. I'm telling you now, he won't. It'll only be for this part here. As he sits next to Deku, who's like facing the window, he can pretty much, this is a grown man here. He can pretty much notice the signs of what's happening off rip. He's not an idiot, as he looks at Deku and actually starts paying attention. As he pretty much whispers to him, "Hey kid." And Deku looks over. "Yes, can I help you, sir? Are you doing what I think you're doing? Are you like running away? Yeah. You should go home, kid. This isn't the life. Hosu is not a place that you want to live in." And Deku just tells him, "I've got no home. I'm a foster kid." Running away from the foster home, are you? And if you know about foster as much as I do, you know that the older you get, the less likely chance you have at getting adopted. I don't really need that stuff anymore. I don't really care for it. Well, alright, I'm not going to judge your choices, but I will tell you, Hosu is no place for a kid like you to try to make a living in. It's pretty much the slums. So you chose right for where your foster people won't come looking for you. But if you're trying to look for some honest work there, then I'm sorry to tell you, you're going to the wrong place for that. It's a good place to hide, but not a permanent place of residency. Plus, how much money do you even have? Can you even sustain yourself? I'll find something. As Deku pretty much, this guy isn't a homeless man or anything. So Deku pulls out his like lunchbox of kept cash, and it's pretty good. Hold on a sec. Let me try to round up some yen so I can think of something. And Deku pretty much says he's got like what 500,000 yen. I know for like a 10-year-old to have that much cash is pretty crazy. But remember, Deku's been doing jobs for like a long time. For like what? 6 years? Yeah, he's been doing it for 6 years, and he never really bought anything on his own. So I mean, I give him some leeway. Why not? So the man actually looks pretty impressed with Deku. Yeah, 500,000 yen. That'll get you something, but without an adult, you're not really gonna make much in this place. Oh well, Deku just says, "Oh well, he'll find something." As the man pretty much laughs at Deku and he pretty much hands over Deku like a wad of cash. Here's another 500,000, kid. You'll need it in a place like that. Deku tries to refuse, but the man is adamant on this. But he tells Deku the rundown. Hosu's a terrible place with terrible people. It's best not to trust anyone. So if you're trying to make it out on your own, kid, it'd be best to just try to leave altogether. As he tries to direct Deku to instead of Mizurufu, just try to go live in Tokyo, because they're a lot more like lenient with children showing up. And if Deku stays in Hosu for a minute, just to live in Hosu for probably about a year or two, he can straight go to Tokyo, and then easy he'll be set for life, as long as he knows how to manage his money correctly, and if he manages to make some more on the way. But he does tell Deku also that there are a lot of bad people in Hosu. Like, there are lots of drug dealers, killers, the R words, and PDF files as well. So it's pretty crazy. So yeah, he tells Deku to be extra careful, because with a child like him, he's pretty much a walking target. Deku nods, and as the bus to Hosu comes to a close. Deku says thank you, and the man just nods his head. And pretty much Deku gets off at Hosu, and the bus continues going. Well, this is his life now. Might as well make a living. Might as well try. Oh wait, hold on. I would do a time skip here, but not yet. So we're gonna cut to So basically, what we're gonna cut to is pretty much a few weeks, 2 weeks into a month, 1 month later. Deku's inside of an abandoned building as he's managing his money right now. He hasn't spent that much. He pretty much spent things on necessities, basically just food and water, and also Deku's been focusing on exercise as well, trying to keep himself in shape, basically because in a place like Hosu, survival is pretty much key. So he's got to be extra careful living in this. And Deku's pretty much living in the slums, so he's got to be extra careful where he buys food, where he goes to eat it, and exactly how he does a good job of exposing it. Because he's smart. Deku was constantly moving around every now and again. And even still, Deku had to cut back on training his quirk a lot, because people would obviously see it in the abandoned buildings and whatnot. And since cops are pretty much everywhere, he's got to be careful as to what he does when he does it. So as of right now, Deku is sitting inside of an abandoned building. His clothes are pretty much rags, because it's been a month and he hasn't changed them. And he hasn't bathed or anything either. So it kind of sucks for him. God damn it. Deku just says, God damn it. He could buy things. It's not like he can't. He's been managing his money fine. But Deku doesn't exactly want to expose himself just yet, because he only comes out at night. And the daytime where everything is like busy and booming, and Deku comes out at night where all the drug dealers and stuff are. And okay, I'll say this a few times. Yes, Deku has gotten into a few fights with other adults and whatnot. He's had to protect himself a few times. So he knows combat at the very least and how to protect himself. But it is still very, very, very annoying as to what he has to do. So what Deku needs to do is find a permanent state of residence for him. A permanent residence. Because he can't just keep moving from place to place every now and then. It's not right. He can't freaking live like this for the rest of his life. Oh boy. Maybe leaving that orphanage was a bad idea. It's been a month now. It's not like they probably searched the whole of Mizurufu, and if I've gotten that far, if I've gotten this far, without them finding me, I doubt they've continued the search for any longer. Jesus, they probably already noticed my note. I mean, they've probably read my note anyway. So Deku's thinking, what place of residence could he possibly have? He doesn't know, but he'll go searching. Like, wait, haven't there been, like, and then Deku got an idea. In his head, there's been abandoned subways in Hosu for long because they kept getting robbed. So there's a lot of abandoned train stations and whatnot. That's his best bet. That's where he's headed. But then there's still the issue with money and everything. Great. Got no idea how that's supposed to work. Well, he'll figure it out. He leaves this abandoned building tonight anyway. He was planning on ditching it for the past few days. He's been here for a week now. Pretty much the longest he's ever stayed in a place was ever like 2 to 3-ish days. But a week, he's gotten tired of this place already. So, in the dead of night, Deku's already out and he's hitting the alleyways. Pretty much staying true to himself. And with this, and guys, I don't know if you guys could guess, but this is potential training for his quirk and whatnot, because he's had to use it in fights and whatnot either. And keep in mind, Deku's had to stop time for a few times just to get away from people actively chasing him. So yeah, this is active like quirk training out for him, because he's training out in the field like seriously. But Deku's still not a great fighter. He does know, like, he can throw a punch, kick, and all that, and throw stuff at you, but that's pretty much it. But as far as fighting styles and knowing how to fight, you don't know shit. So Deku sticks to the alleyways and whatnot, just make sure that they're empty before he walks through them, and if they're not, he just stops time, walks through to the other side, and pretty much runs everywhere else. Until Deku finally makes it to a place. He makes it to an abandoned like subway station. And it's, as you might guess, it's completely closed off. There's like gates, there's like gates in front of it. And it's like a whole bunch of police tape and whatnot pretty much saying caution and everything. But Deku could honestly care a whole lot. Deku could honestly care a whole lot less. Not like he's got anything else going on for him. So what he does to make sure no one pretty much spots him, he stops time again. And because he's a small kid and he's a 10-year-old, because of the gate, he slips his backpack through the cracks, and because time is stopped, thankfully he doesn't have to keep stressing his strength. He pushes the gate open as much as he possibly can, and then he slips through himself and walks down the stairs. So he makes it through himself. And Deku makes it into the abandoned railroad, and it is pretty much as dirty as you might expect. Jeez, it's terrible. So with this being said, it's pretty bad and terrible how things go for Deku. As he's walking down this railroad, and and Deku has his quirk ready. He's ready for anything to jump out at him and to try to attack him. But crazy enough, nothing actually jumps out except Deku seeing a few rats and like raccoons and discussed other nasty animals down there. Until Deku finally comes up on something that he didn't even expect. He comes upon an abandoned train station like he wanted, with an abandoned train actually in it. Nice. But Deku realized that this was part of a really abandoned wing part of the place. Not like anything bad was about it, but oh well. As Deku pretty much had to force open like the door to get into the place. Like, how abandoned was this place? As Deku looks around and he sees like the conductor station as he walks into it, and he sees the last date was like 1990 something, was like 1960 something. And keep in mind, in the world of My Hero Academia, I think they're in the like year 3000 something. So this place is like really, really old. As Deku said, he's pretty much in a historical part of this train station. Oh well, he pretty much forces the door to be closed again, as now he walks in and sees like this abandoned train here. Of course, it's disgusting and everything. It's bad. It's gross. But hey, it's a living space. So pretty much Deku has to force the door to pretty much open, and let me tell you, that's hard enough as it is. But since the automatic door is broken, he can just slide it open like a sliding door. Not much resistance for that. So anyway, Deku walks down the abandoned train and obviously sees the like the seats and whatnot. And Deku is hoping and praying that it's, as he opens like the few doors down, aha, yes! As Deku shouts, because there is a private cart in the train, and it's like a like an abandoned first class wing. So yes, Deku does have bedding and some like levels of refrigerator and all that. So yes, Deku has a bed to sleep in now, and some furniture, with it being like a private first class wing, a couch and whatnot. There's even a freaking bar in here. Golly. Well, Deku's not going to do much drinking, so he leaves that place shut. But hey, this place is enough. This can be his home. But how is he going to do... Oh, wait. What is he doing? Deku uses his horn and places his hands on the train, and he pretty much rewinds it. And he has to rewind far. But hey, since he's practiced his quirks so much in the meantime, and he's had to use it, he's able to rewind it like extremely fast. And finally, the train is back into pristine condition. And crazy enough, because of it, Deku's power, the train is basically working again, has running electricity and all that. But I mean, since the train doesn't have the front cart or anything like that, it's not like it's going to make noise, because you still need the conductor space for that. So all Deku pretty much has is electricity in the place now. Nice. So this is good enough. So as Deku looks back, the bed and the refrigerator and stuff is working. He has a private suite. He has furniture and all this. So this can be his home, his living space now. This is where he's going to reside. But how is he going to get money, though? Okay, he's gonna have to do that for the foreseeable future, because right now he has a lot of work to do on this place, a lot of rearranging, reorganizing, and it's time to get back into quirk practice, because he's been wanting to reconstruct reality for a while now. So let's see what he can do in this place. Okay, hold on. 2 years later. Deku's a lot older now. He's a 12-year-old, so yeah. he is 12 years old now, and Deku lives fine in this train, like lives in a life of luxury. Let me show you. So yeah, Deku's managed to get a lot, to warp, to pretty much rearrange a lot and reconstruct a whole lot of things in his train house now. I mean, he's 12 years old, so yeah, managed to grab a whole freaking kitchen, a living room, a pretty much main sports room for cool places that he hangs out in, and last but not least, like I said, the place also had a bar, but he ain't gonna do much drinking, so yeah, this is a pretty much other thing that he has, but not like he's going to use it. And his bedroom, of course, nice. That's where he freaking sleeps. So, guy's living pretty fine. But as Deku comes to realize this with all this personal stuff, his money's starting to run low. He's been managing for things for a while now, but now that this stuff has happened, he's starting to run low on money for like 2 years. Had 1 million yen, and you've been spending for a while. Now he needs to find a way to gain freaking cash and quick because well, he's running out of freaking cash here. What is he going to do though? That's going to be anyway. So Deku decided he was going to go out at nighttime, and he did. Because Deku's gotten used to being like more of a nighttime type of guy, and he doesn't go out during the day. And for the people that do, they rarely ever get to see him much because he disappears the next second. Deku's gotten amazing with his training. He's able to use red, blue, and hollow purples effectively, easily. Deku, okay, he doesn't really know how to fight that well, but still, guy can catch you off guard many times. He can open a portal and just straight punch the air, open a portal, his fist goes through it, and then he winds up punching you in the face. Or you just get hit with red or blue. So you are not dodging this man's attacks, and they really, really got dang hurt. Just imagine a barrage of reds, just of like reds flying at you. Also, Deku managed to develop the infinity technique even better than Gojo. Like, and what do I mean by that? Easy. I'll show you what I mean. Let me show you right here. All right, so this here is exactly how it works. How Deku works for his infinity. Hollow purple obviously neutralizes as it just erases everything. The blue is, I mean, Azure blue, lapis blue, Azure blue, whatever the heck you want to call it. Yeah, lapis blue completely is obviously a pull. Red is to push. But Deku developed 3 new techniques for infinity. Yellow, which stops, and what it does basically is it works as Deku's infinity barrier, but a much more concentrated version of it. Deku is able to conjure up yellow force fields or like platforms or barriers straight in the way, and it stops you completely. Your momentum, your everything, your actions, it doesn't matter. He can encase you in yellow and you just freeze in total. So basically, it's almost like telekinesis in a way. And then Deku conjures up with green, where Deku coats himself in a green-like aura. And what this does is any attack that hits Deku, as you guys can see, reflect, it's supposed to be reflect. Any attack that hits Deku, whether it be like physical, mental, emotional, or even quirk attacks, will be reflected back onto the user. So no matter what harm you try to do to Deku in any way possible, it will always be reflected back onto you. And orange is double. Now this is pretty much Deku's, if you guys have seen Dragon Ball Z Kaioken, or pretty much played Black Myth Wukong and seen the people use Spellbinder, or the fact that you get stronger every time you, or the fact that Hulk gets stronger every time he gets more angry, it kind of works like that. As orange, as it doubles, what it does for Deku is pretty much it coats his body in an orange-like aura, but this one's more ferocious, almost like he's on fire. And this pretty much doubles all of Deku's stats and attacks, giving him an explosion of power. But this here is the only one that takes a serious toll on Deku. You know how like Gojo spamming his domain expansion gave him a nosebleed and everything? This will be it for Deku, because if he spams like orange, Deku can always double his like stats more and more if he wants to. Like, okay, let's say if Deku uses orange, Deku calls for his orange one time, his Jasper orange, and immediately Deku's stats would double. He can call for orange once again, and his stats would double upon the double, giving him quadruple. So, oh Lord. And if he calls upon doubling again, it would be 8 on 8. It would be like 8 on 8. So you see what I'm saying? Deku can just keep doubling and doubling and doubling. But it would take a serious toll on him because it would cause a massive strain on his quirk, basically his horn. And he's not supposed to be doing stuff like that, because that pretty much pushes his body into overdrive. And when he winds back down and turns it off, pretty much Orange, it takes, like One for All did to Deku, it takes a natural physical toll on his body. So it can really hurt him if he's not careful. But as of right now, at the age of 12, Deku's figured this out over the next 2 years. So he can use double safely like twice, pretty much giving him an 8 times booster. And in really rare and like some desperate cases, he can push it up to times 3 and give himself a 16 booster. So already doubling his stats up to pretty much, well, doubling his stats all the way up to 16 times 16 is completely crazy off rip. So yeah, you don't really want to mess with this Deku, especially like at all. So how does this work? Okay, easy. Deku goes out in the middle of the night and he hears a commotion going on. Usually he's not one to get into it, but hey, whatever. He can still observe. As he peeks around the corner and he sees a man. I got it. Okay, he sees a man on top of another. Pause on that one because it's not what it looks like. And this guy is pretty much holding a sword and calling this dude a fake hero as he stabs him and kills the man. And Deku realizes who this is. This is Stain. Oh crap. Okay, he needs to get out of here before. And as Deku is about turns the alleyway and he's about to leave out, a sword gets stabbed right next to his head. And Stain looks at him like who are you, child? Deku immediately is getting ready to activate his quirk, and Stain puts a knife up to his throat. I wouldn't try that if I were you, kid. Before you could even use your quirk, I'll have your throat slit in an instant. Deku just said he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. He's leaving. There doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to do anything. And then Stain does get his knife away, and he says, "Get out of here and don't ever come back." And Deku just nods his head, as then to Stain's perspective, he just disappeared. What the? Did he teleport? Did he turn invisible? As Stain tries to hit his surroundings, but no, Deku's completely gone. What the heck just happened? And okay, Deku does manage to flee, and thankfully he got away from Stain. But after all that, he pretty much thinks that's enough for one night. He almost got killed, so that's pretty stupid. He probably could have done something, but nah, he's cool. He's better off than not. So he just thinks he's gonna go home for the day, and he does. So we're just gonna cut to another month later, where Deku's trying again because he's really running low on money until he runs into Stain again, killing someone else. And this time, Stain sees Deku poke his head out, and he throws a knife, thinking it's another hero. Deku, on reflex, opens up a portal right behind Stain, and then his knife gets stabbed into his own back. As Stain screams in pain, Deku instantly tries to run off. Okay, he's 12 years old, so he's not really thinking that strategically. He's just running. And Stain behind him calls him a bastard and throws his weapons at him. Deku instantly freezes them in midair and makes them drop. What the? And this time, Stain rushes at Deku, and now he's annoyed. But Deku, already having his infinity barrier right up, he's ready for this. Instantly, Stain tries to swing his sword at him, but it stops. And Deku doesn't waste any time. He fires off his red completely at Stain, and Stain blocks it with his sword, but his sword ends up actually cracking. What the? And then a portal opens behind him, and then a blue orb comes behind. And as Deku ignites the blue orb, it explodes, hitting Stain for very bad damage. And this time, Deku, with his orange already encased onto his hand, he pretty much throws a punch at Stain, and boom! It lands for massive damage. So, imagine Deku already using 25% of One for All, and he just smacks Stain dead in the face with it. Yeah, that hurt. And he's only 12 years old doing this shit. So Stain felt that. He really, really felt that. Now we're going to see exactly... And Stain is interested in this kid now. And Deku, Stain throws knives, and Deku opens portals again, this time above Stain. But this Stain dodges them, but that's what Deku wanted. This time, he opens up a blue a blue, but instead he pulls Stain into the portal, into another red blast, and it fires at Stain, hitting him. And Stain gets up, and Deku's ready for him again, but Stain says he's had enough. And Deku's actually getting tired from this because he's never had to use his power quite like this in this much of a stretch. But it is good enough that he fought like that. So Stain asks what's his name, and Deku just says his name is Izuku. Izuku what? Just Izuku. Like, why are you out here? Why aren't you home? I have no home. I was a foster kid my whole life. Why aren't you going back to the foster care? Wait, I ran away from that place. No, I left 2 years ago. I left that place 2 years ago. No point. When you're an older kid, there's no point in trying to get adopted. Doesn't matter anyway. As Stain just says, your power is useful. What's your quirk? Space-time. Interesting. What are you even out here for? Trying to look for a place I can make money. Don't exactly... Living on my own for 2 years and running extremely low on cash. Don't suppose you got anything I could freaking use, do you? Sadly, no, I don't. But I might have things you can help me with. What's that supposed to be? Meet me at blank 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 at a week later. Then we'll talk. We'll see if you're up for it. And that happens. Oof, I've been recording for an hour. Nah, I can keep this going. So as Deku goes to the location, Stain says, you actually showed up. Yeah, I'm desperate for cash, so I need this. So I need whatever cash I can get. Sure, kid, whatever. And Stain asks, do you actually know who I am? Deku says yes, and he explains what little he knows of Stain. And Stain pretty much spreads his ideology that heroes are fakers, they need to be purged, yada yada yada, all that. And Deku pretty much does ask, what about the heroes that genuinely do need this for the money? Because, I mean, look at him. He's pretty much a homeless kid, and if he decided to be a hero just to get something to eat, it wouldn't be that bad, would it? Whatever. Still fakers at the end of the day. And if you need money that bad, just get a normal job. You don't need to be a hero for that. Yeah, fair point. Anyway, so with that being said, Stain pretty much explains what he's going to do. He's going to take down another fake hero. But he wants Deku to stay out of the way, and he wants Deku to support him. With those portals of his, it actually makes it quite easier to do stuff. Oh, crap. So with that being said, Stain he's not going after another hero. He's going after a warehouse that's been selling drugs to the kids of this place. So of Hosu, and he doesn't like that. So he needs Deku's help with it. And it actually is quite easy how that works. Huh. Nice. So how things work is actually quite great. Okay, I'm trying to think. Okay, I got this now. Stain goes down there and he just tells Deku to have his back. And easy. So as Stain goes down there slicing people up left and right, like in the warehouse, Deku's spying from the outside into the window. He pretty much sees Stain about to get shot from behind as Deku opens up a portal behind Stain, and it pretty much hits the guy in the back of his head, killing the guy instead. And nice. Stain pretty much it gets the warehouse place done, and it's quite easy how that works. And hey, they made a lot of freaking money, so Stain just says, "There's your freaking payment for this, kid." As Deku pretty much takes all the freaking money he can get his hands on, because no doubt there's probably going to be some cops showing up pretty soon. And yeah, Deku gets a lot of cash from this, and I mean a lot. This can actually keep him going for quite a while. But Stain says that does Deku really know how to fight? And Deku says honestly he really doesn't. Well, that's about to change. How? Because I'm going to train you. What? You heard me. So that's how that works. Stain is going to train Deku, and well, it goes well for quite a while actually. Deku pretty much low-key becomes a straight-up assassin. Stain teaching Deku everything he knows, and with Deku being as smart as he is, inconspicuously buying books and whatnot, and oh yeah, because of Stain, Deku managed to get a phone, like a burner phone that pretty much can't be traced anywhere. He pretty much asked Stain to get it for him, and he gave Stain the money for it, and Stain was just able to get it off the grid. So the phone is completely off the grid. It's untraceable by any means, and Deku can access online and the dark sites if he needs to, which he does. And Deku pretty much signs himself up for like an assassin type job because he's good at it. So what assassin name Deku is going to be going under? Simple. Smile. Deku is going to be going under the alias known as Smile. It's pretty nice what he does. Him and Stain like part ways. Oh yeah, if you guys want to know how much time has passed, it's been he's spent with Stain for like 5 years. So Deku's like 17. Deku parted ways with Stain after like the third year, after the third year, because he taught Deku everything he needs to know to survive, and he's fine. So he doesn't need him around anymore. So him and Stain completely parted ways, and Deku never knew where Stain was after that. But Deku is one hell of a skilled assassin, though. Man's got skills, even better skilled than Stain, and because of his portals and everything, Deku's a high-ranking guy up there. And how he gets his money delivered is actually quite cool. He gets like his own like online untraceable bank account and everything. He gets his own black card, and it's amazingly it's delivered to him anonymously. And how this would work, Deku would just name a random like abandoned house to put a mailbox in, like probably pretty much in the next town, in the next 10 minutes, in the next town over. Deku would end up going there because he can open portals to where it is, and every time he sees package delivered, he would open up a portal inside the abandoned house. walk out of the abandoned house, grab his pretty much black card or paycheck or whatever, or assignment, and grab the black card out of the mailbox and go back in. So Deku's pretty much got it like Deadshot. So he's pretty skilled at what he does. Finally, Deku's 18th birthday. Deku honestly doesn't know what he's going to do. Well, being an assassin, aka a vigilante, is pretty much fine for him. He lives in his house. He doesn't really need anything else beyond that. But, oh well. Deku decided for his 18th birthday, he's going to have some fun. He's tired of doing nothing the whole time. So Deku decides to go out to a bar. Yes, he technically has his own bar in his train car, but he doesn't want to be alone this one time. He still needs interaction and people. So, how did that go? Quite nice, actually. Deku goes out to a bar and pretty much doesn't need he can just walk right past the bouncer. Pretty easy how much he does it too. Like he doesn't even walk up to the freaking bar of the place. He's hidden in the alleyways, stops time. He has his hoodie on basically. Walks past the bouncer and everything, the security, and he's already inside. Doesn't worry about anything. And this place is not nice. Deku just says, nice. As he just goes around having a fun time, dancing, doing whatever. But then it's time. Deku decided he needs something to drink. So he sits at the bar. The bartender's pretty much waiting for him. And Deku just said, can he get some water? Which is fine. I mean, you don't need to show a card for that stuff. Even though he looks young, he still managed to get in. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I got it. So what happens now is quite simple. As Deku's drinking his water, somebody slides a drink over to him, says, "You want to get really fucked up?" Like, wait, hey kid, you want to get really fucked up? And Deku looks over and he sees this blue woman with blue hair, and she wearing nothing but a hoodie, and she looks like she's got tattoos on her body. As Deku looks over to this woman and like, well, you want some or not? My arm's getting tired here. As this woman is, you guys should pretty much know. I think I set it up right, but in case you don't know, let me show you. Rebecca from Edgerunners. Yep, I'm inputting Edgerunners into this stuff here, guys. Also, you guys, tell me down below. Should I keep this a Vigilante AU, or should this be converted into a Vigilante, from a Vigilante into a hero? Because I don't know. You guys tell me your thoughts down in the comment section below. But anyway, like, well, you want some or not? Fuck. Deku shrugs his shoulders. Fuck it. Takes the drink and he just pretty much he pretty much downs it. Like, what there, guy? That's the strong shit there. Deku just says, "Good, I'm fucking glad. I need a drink after all this shit." Like, whoa, don't get your panties twisted. What's been happening with you? Been going through a lot of bullshit throughout my life, so this drink is long overdue. Yeah, here, cheers to that. Deku just says, he shrugs his shoulders and clinks drinks with this girl and just starts drinking more and more. Like, woo, this shit really is strong. Like, yeah. And then the girl asks, "So you come here often, hot stuff?" Deku just says, look, I appreciate the drink, but I ain't looking to have a one night stand. I'm not that kind of guy." Rebecca just laughs, said, "Whoa there, I didn't think we were that far in the relationship. I just asked a question." Hmm. No, first time here. Yeah, I could tell. What, you're like 18? You're like 18 or something? You got it right on the head. Today's my birthday. Well, fine. As she calls for another drink and passes it over to Deku. Cheers to the birthday boy, then. What's your name? Izuku. And hey, so nice to meet you, Izuku. I'm Rebecca. My friends call me Becca, though. Well, cheers to that, then. As Deku and Rebecca continue drinking for a while, and they're pretty much smashed as it is. Deku just said, "Fuck, I should probably stop. I need to get back home before I make a fool of myself." No, stay. You're a good fucking guy, Izuku. A really good guy. Yeah. And oh man, Deku just said, "I can't though," as he can't find the strength in him to get up. And then a few more people come over. All right, all right, Rebecca. All right, Becca, come on. You've had your fun here. You did if like, nah, I'm having fun with my friend. Fuck you. Like, sorry if she bothered you, dude. We're gonna go now. No, bro, leave me alone. Yeah. Deku's just sitting there at the bar and realizes, like, I should probably get going too. This is annoying as hell. As, oh shit. Deku sees that, like, one of her, like, that friend of hers had actually dropped something, like, a package or whatnot. Shit. As Deku picks it up, freezes time and walks right back and walks out a different exit. Okay, yeah. I got it. As Deku freezes time and walks out a different exit as to not be seen. Well, walks at a different exit as to not. Now he doesn't freeze time. He just walks out the side exit because he doesn't want to get seen. He sees that Rebecca girl with her other friends, like pretty much getting into a car and would be driving off. Deku just says, "Ah, shit," as now he's got to follow this goddamn car. And he does follow it for a while, and it actually didn't drive that far, just 3 blocks away, as they go into like this warehouse type shit. And Deku wouldn't want to knock again, but he doesn't want to bug them. What is it? 3 in the fucking morning? I've got no time for this. I'll return it a different day. As Deku he heads into the sewers, and he pretty much maps his own way home. Deku knows where to go. And that was his first interaction with Rebecca. But hey, next day he does go back to return their shit. Okay, so not mine. Anyway, so as shit goes, Deku heads up to the warehouse that they were in, knocks on the freaking door, and immediately there's a gun in his face when the door opens. As Rebecca's there answering the door. "Yo, oh, you, Izuku, right?" "Yeah, and you're Rebecca?" "Oh, damn, well, it's nice to see you, dude. What are you doing? Like, how'd you find this place and what are you doing here?" You or one of your friends left your shit in the bar last night, so I wanted to return it. Don't really give a shit enough to, like, take it or leave it. Like, hey, bro, you left your shit at the bar. And honestly, like, what? Like, oh, wait, really? Oh, shit, thank God, I've been looking for that. Like, yeah, keep up with your shit, idiots. Like, fuck you. And all that stuff goes down. This video is definitely not made for kids. I don't really care if it's cussing in it. But anyway, as time continues to going on, Deku just says, "Well, I just wanted to return this. I'm out." Like, hold on a second. You were a hell of a good time, and since you made your way all the way over here, might as well stick around for a few, huh? I don't see why not. So he gets dragged in by Rebecca now, and he gets thrown basically onto a couch. So basically, and Rebecca pretty much asks, what were you doing at the bar and everything? Needed to loosen up after a long time. And somehow, okay. Some of the other Edge runners come in and they see Deku now. So Deku gets introduced to the crew this time. Oh boy, this is going to be quite the thing. As you know what, just for the sake of the fucking story, David is the one who actually recognizes Deku for once. And pretty much they explain their vigilantes fighting against the Hero Commission and all that shit. Deku just laughs. They ask, what, you do something better, tough guy? Deku just says he's an assassin. He's a hired gun. Wait, and then Dave was the one who recognized him right when Deku said that. Because let's be honest, Rebecca gave him another drink for him to loosen up a bit more. Like, wait, your smile, and then everyone perks up upon hearing that. Like, your smile, as Deku pulls up like his mask from under his shirt, and it has like the little smile from the vigilante thing that I showed you beforehand. Like, damn, the infamous assassin smiles in this base. Never thought so. Yeah, well, first time for everything. As Deku continues drinking a bit more, and now Rebecca's really interested as she's leaning on Deku. So, Smile, you got any crazy stories to share? Got lots of them. And Deku just dives deep into like how his assassin shit works, what he does, all that. It's pretty stupid. So that means you're pretty rich, huh? I don't pride myself on money, but yeah, I don't really spend much either. How much we talking? Why you want to know that? Like, if you're trying to rob me, I'm not one to fall for stupid shit like that. No, just curious. Deku pulls up his phone and his bank information, and Rebecca, holy shit! Yeah, Deku puts his shit away. Like, dude, you gotta split that with us sometime. I barely know you guys. But you're in the base now, so you're a part of the Edge Runners. What the fuck? And that's how that freaking shit happened. It's Rebecca, guys. Just go with it. This is within her personality. At least I think it is. Oh well, as shit does go by, Deku gets to know the guys more and more. But then they ask where he lives. Deku just said, I live in a fucking abandoned railroad. Like, I live in an abandoned train station. Like, what? Yeah, being for real. No way. Show me. Rebecca is the first to see Deku's place. Holy shit, this is better than our place. This place is huge. Whatever. So, seeing as this place is a lot better, Deku just says this is his home. This is where he lives. Rebecca just says, you gotta invite us. You gotta invite the guys over here sometime. Maybe. But we'll see how things go later on. Fine. Have fun in your little nerd cave. Ain't a fucking nerd cave. But hey, that's as far as interactions go, guys. And I think I'm gonna end the story right here. I mean, I think I've gone far enough with this as it is, and I think I've had my fun. So if you guys enjoyed this, you guys want part 2, be sure to get this to 5 likes. 5 likes, and we shall continue more upon Vigilante Deku Part 2. Or if you guys got a better title for the name, I'm all open ears. But as far as you guys know, this ends now. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. Peace, guys.